preemption. And you want the tram, when the tram comes along, you want tram driver to be able to press a button and the conflicting red light will shorten and you can go ahead. So I'll see what I can come up with.
Thank you very much.
Okay, then Councillor Bateman.
Thank you, Your Worship. And the question probably isn't how much would it cost in a vacuum, it's how much would it cost in comparison to bus rapid transit or road construction or the other costs involved in serving our residents. The question I have for you, Mr. Graham, thank you for coming, really appreciate it. You know, in my research on streetcar systems, I see a lot of talk about economic development, business improvement, a totally different style of development that occurs. You call it transit-oriented development, or Joe did, urban villages. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience with that in Melbourne? How have you seen that kind of increased value in the construction that's going on along streetcar routes?
I can only speak from a personal perspective on that, because as a consultant, quite often I get, we only do one little part. Someone will come and say, you know, how many people are going to ride, take this route, or how should we get tram service to this area? Should we go this way or that way? Come up with the options, price the options, and yeah. So I don't really get involved in economic studies. Cost studies I do. So, you know, I did a big one for Auckland. And, you know, okay, well, you do this, it's going to cost this much. Option B is going to cost you this much, option C. And we did, let me see, the city of Maribyrnong, which is a suburb of Melbourne, was building an aquatic center next to a big shopping center. And at present, there was no tram service to the shopping center, so they let you off the bar of the hill and then you walk up. So they said, okay, we want to get trams there. How are we going to, with two routes that we could use? And so we went through all the permutations, and there was like 2 in the end plus 1 combinations of things. We ended up saying, okay, you can do this and this and this. Here's the cost. We recommend that you take that $10 million and spend it somewhere else. We didn't, you know, you could sort of tell that it wasn't going to give them. They get ridership, no problem, but you would get better bang for your buck spending that money somewhere else. So it happens sometimes, but I really can't give you.
I'll ask you a different question then. This is probably the simplest one, the one I've been asked probably the most is, you know, why a tram over bus rapid transit, which is, I assume, I'm sure you're familiar with 15-minute bus service platforms. It's almost identical to a streetcar except without the rails. Why would a tram be preferable over that?
You get people, you get riders on a tram who won't get on a bus. And a bus, even these guided, I think there's some in Vegas, guided buses that run on a guided track. There's still a perception, and not entirely fair. You know, yes, it's wrong, but hey, when it comes to perceptions, that doesn't matter. But it's just another vehicle on the road. With a tram, you're a different class.
And one could argue a different class of community. I'll pass back to you.
Okay, Councillor Ferguson and Councillor Fox.
Thank you, Brian, for coming again. You know, I don't know about the water or the climate in Australia, but it doesn't look like you've aged to Langley. Not like the rest of us. I remember you involved in a number of committees, and I think you're up in Fergus up like 196, am I correct?
Yeah.
So it looked good to be that long ago, but and at least as far as the way the time goes, I guess if you're digitalizing, again, Councillor Vickberg mentioned it quickly, about, you know, about population and putting trams in the population, and we are basically a community of communities with not an awful lot of population other than dense areas, and how you justify it, I think. And the next one is who
system that you're talking about. So, and back to the simplistic question number 3 is in Melbourne and your area in Australia, did they relax what we call bylaws for parking requirements? Did they relax that for a developer because we have this?
I'm not sure there ever was any requirement. In fact, we don't have any parking bylaws at all. The cars park on sidewalks, motorcycles park on the sidewalk in town. Quite often, the streets are so narrow that everyone parks with one wheel up on the sidewalk. So I'm not sure that they ever had it. Who runs it? It used to be run by they went through a lot of names, but they were still the government. It was the Public Transport Corporation. In 1999, it was privatized. The engineering group was purchased, I guess. People were hired by my company. The operations were taken over by at the time, there was 2 companies, so they ran the franchise, and presently there's only one company running the Tram franchise. It's Trams. He mentioned that Dennis Cleese, the CEO of Trams, used to live in Ocean Park. So if you have the opportunity to talk to him, he knows Langley, he knows his way around, and he has been talking to the city of Vancouver about their plans for trams. So he may be a worthwhile resource.
If I may, you mentioned about the project, is that a public owned and then run by a private enterprise, or the private enterprise owns it outright?
No, the government owns it under the auspices of Big Track, Victorian Rail Track Corporation, Crown Corporation. They own everything from the top of the rail down, and the electrical overhead, and the substations, and everything else. They lease that to the operator, and the operator has key performance indicators, so many on times and so many trips canceled. Beyond that, they have to pay a penalty.